What's up, guys? Welcome back to the MSR workshop. So today I'm going to do an unboxing for you. This is a product that I was sent for free. I think you guys will enjoy this, so stick around. So the product that I'm going to take a look at today is a rifle scope. Now, if you've watched my last couple videos, you'll know that I've done a few videos on a few air rifles and one on a scope. Well, a company reached out to me called CVLIFE, and they said, hey, would you be interested in checking out one of our scopes that we offer on Amazon? So I said, sure, bring it on. So we are going to take a look at that right now. What showed up in the door is this little black box. Now, obviously it was packaged in something up, but when I opened it up, we have this nondescript box. It does say what is in it on the back. It says CVLIFE Jackal. Scope rings, they are in millimeter, and that's really about all it says. It does say it's made in China, but let's open this up and take a look. So the one that I believe that they sent me was their 6x24x50. So first off, you got a manual in here, and yep, 6x24. And it says, let's read some of these specs here because I haven't got this memorized or anything yet. So field of view is 15.7 to 4.2 at 100 yards. Objective diameter, that is going to be the large side here, is 50 millimeters. Eyepiece diameter is 36 over here. Reticle type is mil dot. Your windage and elevation is going to be in 1/4 inch MOA. The diopter adjustment says it's 2.5 plus or minus. Tube diameter is 1.2. Eye relief is 3.4 inches. We'll take a look at that. It says fully multi-coated body 6061 aircraft grade aluminum. And this does not have an illuminated reticle on it. It comes with scope rings. Let's take a look at those. Very basic scope rings. So if this is something that you mount on your rifle, right away I would get you a better quality scope rings. When you get a scope that has rings included, usually they're kind of an after effect. Means they're kind of really not part of the total price that you're paying. So yeah, sorry guys. Thanks for including them. And if you're on a budget and you have no extra money or just have a plinking rifle that you really don't care, these will work. But if you have any kind of good rifle and you want a little bit better accuracy, I would consider upgrading these. So setting these aside, let's see what else. Comes with a little lens cleaning cloth. And then what is nice though is they do come with caps, and these caps are actually halfway decent. Now they don't fold all the way flat, but a little push there and they flap open. And to take them off, kind of rubberized around here so you can get a fairly good fit. Let's see if I can get these off. There we go. So, not bad. Good job, guys. So, looking over the scope, first thing you'll notice, me at least right away, is where my parallax adjustment is. And sorry guys, this is going to be dings against this company, but I do not like parallax adjustments up here at the end. One, you have to reach all the way forward, you have to take your hand off the rifle, and you have to crank this. This quite stiff. Now, 10 to 15 yards, a little bit smoother, less effort. But then once I get past maybe halfway, 15 and 20, it starts to tighten up a bit. So That's another thing I don't like. You got to be able to easily change your focus, especially if you're going to different distances, or you're out pesting or whatever, and you've got something that maybe is running from you, or you're shooting at multiple distances, say like pigeons or whatever it is. You want to be able to get that focus quickly dialed in, and reaching up front here and cranking this is going to be a little bit difficult. The other thing I don't like about parallax adjustments up here is that if you do have scope caps mounted to a rifle, you've got this open. Now this is moving all around too. So if I am starting off with, say, at minimum marked distance on here says 10 yards, now a little dot for an indicator, it goes past it. So it may be less than that, which is okay. I would rather be able to focus really close on subjects than I have to be like 20 yards for it to even focus on something. So there's that. But anyways, sitting right here, I'm going to have to completely make almost 360 degrees of rotation with this cap. And if you've got this mounted on the end of a rifle, this is going to hit your barrel, and this doesn't lay flat, which means you're going to have to pry this off and stick it in your pocket so you don't lose it. So another reason, don't like these. Sorry, guys. Looking over at your distance on your zoom, let's take a feel at that. So we start off at 6. And go all the way up to 24. And this actually is very nice and smooth. Now there is a little screw here. I don't see anywhere that you could put on a throw lever, and that would be nice. Just something that there's a little bump there to get your thumb on. Right now, pretty smooth, so you do have to kind of grab it and crank it a little bit. Now that being said, a little bit stiff, but it's very smooth. I don't feel any binding, crunchiness, none of that. Down here for your eyepiece adjustment, most times eyepiece adjustments on most scopes that I have found are usually fairly stiff. Once you set them, you shouldn't have to ever change it. But, this feels pretty good. You do have a threaded insert on the front. Not sure what this is about. I suppose you could put a filter on the front or something protective if you wanted to. I know there are companies out there that make screw-on lens caps, but those are going to cost actually more than this scope did. I think right now on Amazon it runs about $109, but it frequently will go on sale. So next, let's talk about our windage and elevation adjustments. So these are going to be more of a old school type where you have caps that you do have to take on and off. Also not the greatest if you do need to make adjustments out in the field. You have to take your caps off and then you run the risk of losing them if you don't stick them in your pocket. But as you can hear that, fairly smooth. Nothing to really complain about there other than the knurling right here on the top. Could be a little bit more prominent, so if you're wearing gloves or something, you have a little bit more to grab onto because these are pretty smooth. So for $100, overall, it looks pretty good. Like I said, don't like the parallax adjustment up front, but for $100, you probably could overlook that if the scope looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted up to my Umarex Notos off camera, and we're going to take this out to the range and kind of look through it and take a look and see what it looks like. All right, so we've got this mounted up with the scope rings that came with it, just for purposes of filling So let's kind of figure out where this looks good and what kind of image quality we get. All right, guys, so this is the kind of the picture that I'm getting through my iPhone and a scope cam, or actually an iPhone mount for my scope. So pretty good. Sorry for any shaking because I'm hand holding this. But this is at the minimum power. All right, so here is a 10 power of a power line and the pole. Still kind of see all the details. And unfortunately, this is hard to focus one-handed because it is at the end of the barrel. So let's zoom in a little bit more and see what we get. All right, so here is about 14 power, and around, I'm guessing around 12 to 14, we start to lose a bit of color. But still actually is impressively pretty good looking. Don't pay attention to my crosshairs. I'm doing the best to keep those in focus. Now let's go into 20 next. All right, here is 20. And that is zoomed in all the way to 24 power. And impressively enough, this has actually got quite good detail. I was not expecting this at all. Really doesn't lose much light. It does lose a little bit at the end. Also, something to note that this is a second focal plane scope, so your reticle does not change at all. See if I can focus that a little bit better. So reticle doesn't change, stays nice, so this might be good for a target shooter who doesn't want their crosshairs to constantly zoom in and out, especially at max distance. You know, your reticle will normally get bigger on a first focal plane. Second focal plane stays the same. So actually, believe it or not, I stand corrected, because initially when I got this out of the box, just looking through it, hand holding it, it kind of looked like hot garbage to me. But actually getting it mounted and holding it properly with proper eye distance, it actually looked pretty good. Let's zoom back out so you can see where it kind of changes color. Sorry, there's my autofocus kicking in. So good. So you see a little color loss. Color comes back there. So 12 to 14 gets a little bit dimmer. And then that is back out to 6 power, where we have great color. And pretty darn good clarity. I was not expecting this from a $100 scope. So, all right, guys, the CV 6x24x50 second focal plane scope. What do I think of it? I was actually pleasantly surprised, and I was not expecting that. Now, I still don't like this, and it's quite stiff, and it takes almost 2 hands sometimes to rotate this. So if you're trying to focus and you're hand holding a gun while looking through it, it makes it pretty difficult to do. Other than that, will I put this on a rifle of mine? I actually think I might. I have a little 22 that might actually work great for this. But if you're in the market for a very budget-friendly scope, but actually a pretty decent one, I would take a look at the CVLIFE 6x24x50 second focal plane scope. Thanks, guys.